The rule of three states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing than those that don't. With the next generation GMC Sierra, Canyon, and Sierra Heavy Duty, we couldn't agree more. Whether you choose to have the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate available on the next generation 2019 GMC Sierra SLT, AT4, and Denali models, to confidently take on heavy loads with the available 6.6-liter V8 Duramax turbo diesel in the GMC Sierra Heavy Duty, or to get behind the wheel of the only mid-size premium pickup on the road, the GMC Canyon, you'll realize all three help you do one thing: go professional grade. Step up to GMC, and current eligible GM owners get 20% below MSRP on next generation 2019 GMC Sierra Double Cab and SLE Crew Cab models with a traditional tailgate. We are professional grade. GMC. Must be a current owner lessee of a 2005 model year or newer GM vehicle for at least 30 days prior to the new vehicle sale. Offer includes price reduction below MSRP and purchase allowance. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Take retail delivery by 9/30/19. See participating dealer for details.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero, the Dew Sweeper. You're about to listen to an episode of The Tour Coach, which is going to give you an inside look at coaching golf at the very highest level, from on the PGA Tour with my guys all the way to here at Mobile, Alabama in the Dew Sweeper Dome, as we help folks of all skill levels, all walks of life, learn to achieve their golfing goals. So here we are, Sea Palms Golf Club. I've done pretty well tonight, I'll be honest. I've gotten Brady Riggs next to a fireplace. That's good. Which is a good thing. And so the topic of this, so let me just lay out who the table here is. To my right is Michelle Winkler, right? Making her tour coach debut.
Nice.
And by the way, we're glad to have you here at the retreat. It's good to have you. We got Matt Rudy, Golf Digest. Good friend. He's going to argue with me like a sumbitch on this one. We got Dr. Scott Lynn, and they're kind of teammates on this one, but they'll probably argue a little bit. It'll make it interesting. We got a guy in the corner who, Big Al, who doesn't know anything about golf. He's a lawyer. He's probably not going to say shit on this. Actually, you know what? He'll probably actually comment and act like he knows stuff, like he has done ever since I've known him, since I was in college. We got Jackson Court, Jackson K Golf, and then we got my good friend Brady Riggs, one of the great teachers in the game from out in California. So the topic of this, I want to talk about the role of science in golf instruction. So, and I'm going to preface that by saying, and I think Scott knows this, so I know Scott knows this because he was involved in it, but a few years ago I got asked to do something for Swing Catalysts, and I'm scared to death of science. I'm scared to death of you people, right? Use people. So,
what is this gravity you speak of?
Right. Hold on. Waitress just brought me another vodka. So anyways, water. Sure. Got asked to do a thing at Swing Catalyst. I told you this earlier, and I didn't want to do it. But then I decided I was getting paid, so I'd do it. So all I did was stand up there, and I took examples of my tour players, talked about what I did, and then I let Scott explain it to all these nerds, right? And so, anyways,
That's going to be the title of Scott's book. Explain it to the nerds.
Right. And so anyways, so that's how Scott and I got talking. And then I was like, I wanted to know if the stuff I was telling people was scientifically correct. That's a pretty accurate assessment, right? So I would bounce stuff off him. And that's how I was like, you know what? He has a wealth of knowledge, obviously great at what he does. Wanted to have somebody that had that background involved in the stuff I do with developing players. So that's kind of how he got here. So he's by far the most nerdy person on my team of people. I'm just going to say that. I mean, you probably know that.
He's nerdy.
And I appreciate that.
Right? But anyway, so I struggle at times, like what's the role of all this science shit to bring it into golf? And so let's, I can say anything I want on a podcast. It's my podcast. So let's talk about the role of science in golf instruction. Matt, I'm going to start with you because you've got a lot to say. And so for people that don't know, so you're the instruction editor in Golf Digest. one of your good friends, Michael Jacobs, and he is at the forefront of science. And now, look, just because you're on the science side doesn't mean y'all get along, because I know y'all don't all. I mean, you guys all fight. People like me and Brady, we just hang out and sing Kumbaya and talk about golf. But so go ahead. I want you to start, Matt, with the role of golf, science in golf instruction.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say that I'm on the side of science. I'm on the side. I'm on the side of helping people.
That's what they all say.
And I'm on the side of telling a great story.
You do a great job of that.
Well, I appreciate that.
And for people out there that don't know, Matt and I wrote a fantastic book, Lessons from the Legends. It would probably be up there with, a lot of Hemingway.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Great Gatsby, Hemingway.
Early Hemingway.
Early Hemingway.
Shakespeare?
Yeah.
No?
I wouldn't go as far as Shakespeare.
Okay.
I will say it's right after The Old Man and the Sea. But go ahead. Anyways,
I wouldn't necessarily say, that I believe in science, number one. And number two, my interest is in helping people, and my interest is in having people avoid folklore. And I think for years and years, a lot of golf coaching was based on folklore.
Wow, that's interesting.
Which was, you go and you go and you work for a pro somewhere, and you watch that pro teach some lessons, and you take the advice that pro gave you, and the pro says, well, here's the 3 things you keep your head down and turn more, whatever the folklore you want to pick, and you apply sort of generalized, non-specific, non-scientific information to everyone to produce great frustration. And I think what science does is it measures and it proves or disproves. And I think golf is a traditional game, and I think it's resistant to change, and I think it's resistant to modern interpretation to a degree. And I think there are a lot of coaches historically who are threatened by objective information because it could be counter to what they've always taught, and I get that, and I'm sensitive to that, and my interest is not to blow somebody's world up, but every time I go on Facebook and somebody talks about how important it is to hold the lag as long as you can hold it, keep this angle down through the ball as much as you can, and the folklore that people have taught for 50 years, when we're actually able to measure what people really do, with the systems that people like my friend Mike Jacobs has come up with, we actually know what forces are involved in a golf swing and what torques are involved in the golf swing, what's actually happening.
By the way, I used some gamma today.
There you go.
Lambda.
I mean, guys like Scott, they're all, Scott's livelihood is involved in actually measuring what people do and telling the truth about what they do and helping coaches everywhere communicate that. And that's a part of what I do. I mean, the communicating part can't be lost. The science is important, but if you overwhelm people with the science, they're going to tune you out. But the science is important. If you're going to walk around, the divining rod, the stick that people carry around that they used to say, well, if you point a divining rod, it's supposed to tell you where water is, right?
It doesn't work.
That's folklore, and there are actual ways to figure out where water is, and there are a lot of smart people who know how to tell you where the water is. So we should find the people who know where the water is and listen to them.
So Brady, it's kind of like Fox News here. It's fair and balanced. So I'm going to go to you. All right.
You know just how to get to Brady. That's a good one,
right? So
Anti-science.
No. So, anyways, so the interesting thing. So one of the things that I liked about you early on, other than you wore a beanie all the time, is
It's true.
I mean, is you have a kinesiology degree, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's right. Yeah. So I started bouncing stuff off of you early because I knew you were smart, right? And so you had the science background,
Allegedly smart.
right? So how do you balance your science background with your love and your passion for just playing golf and helping people play? Because you're one of the people and one of the teachers. Matt, you've been around Brady
I have.
a good bit, and we've done some stuff together. Like, he loves just teaching the play and part of the game, and we talk all the time about, like, just go play golf. How do you balance the two together?
Well, science is kind of, the idea is it's the best possible explanation we have for a certain problem. And
It's true. It's truth. Yeah, I mean, it's truth.
It's the best working explanation that you have. But it doesn't mean that that's the best way for somebody to play better too. So, I mean, I think those of us that are teaching all the time, and that's what we do, if we're teaching all the time, we're constantly trying to improve what we're doing, hopefully. So we need better information, and people that are doing research are really helping us get better information. But you have to use a filter when you are working with a player, because that may or may not help them in that moment. So my first priority is the player that's standing in front of me. And whether or not the information at that moment I'm going to give them is perfectly scientifically correct is not important as helping them in that moment. So I'm trying to balance that all the time, and I don't want to lose the creativity of a player. Like, I'll give you an example. If you told somebody, okay, to hit a draw, you need to face a right starting draw. And you need to go
Like
around
we tried to do today.
Yeah. And you try and get somebody to go around a tree. And you know that if you start if the face is right of the tree, when you make contact and the path is right of that, it'll go around the tree. Well, if you set somebody up to do that in that way, they would never hit the ball around the tree. It would go way right. But the way that works better is if the face looks more left at address, and then when they swing, the face is obviously going to get right of that, and the path's going to get right of the face, and then it'll go around the tree. That way has worked forever. But if you try to explain it to them factually, they probably would never hit the ball right to left. It would just stay right. So what works and what is scientifically correct may not be the same thing.
The language.
Yeah, the way you're
But I don't
expressing
think that is. I mean, if you had a launch monitor, the face is starting right at the tree. Like,
Right.
So you look at the launch monitor yourself and you're like, okay, perfect. Whatever you got to say to them, you could say, like, put your leg behind your neck, and if it works, it works. Like, I don't care if it's, like, you're not saying anything that's scientifically incorrect, because
Right.
at the moment of impact, the face is right at the tree if they're not hitting the tree.
And I think just that's what we're talking about, like explaining it to them in a way that is factually correct in that moment may not be the best way for them to achieve the goal.
No, totally.
The art is getting them to do what you need them to do.
And while we know what the truth is about what creates ball flight, and we
The
can
truth
measure
is that impact. Right?
Knowing
You
the
can
truth,
measure
but
it, yeah.
knowing the truth is important.
Totally true.
it is
Yes.
it's more important for us
For you.
than necessarily than the player sometimes.
But I think that's the trial
The
and error.
surgeon has to know how to excise the tumor.
Right.
How they communicate it to the patient is a different matter.
Well, I think that's a different analogy, because the patient's doing jack shit when you're excising a tumor.
But the
Right.
The patient's lying there, right?
Except that if you look at somebody and they have a broken leg,
Yeah.
and you decide that they have to have open heart surgery, that's a problem. And golf instruction historically that's been the way it is,
Right.
which is somebody has a sprained ankle and you're putting a brace on their finger because you identify the completely wrong problem.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what he's talking about. It's more like, so you're trying to get somebody to hook it around a tree, and they're starting it like way right at the tree.
I'm
Like,
saying, like, the if you explained it to them in a way that this is what's actually going to happen at impact,
yeah,
that generally doesn't work as well as telling them, make the face look close to you, basically as you're setting up to the ball and swing way right. We know at impact that doesn't
not happening.
produce a left face.
Sure.
But it works way better than saying, start with the face right and dress and then swing right at them.
But what if you had a guy who you
That's not
said
gonna work.
point and they just smoke it into the tree the way you told? Well, then
Well, they're dead. Then you don't have to worry about it for the next
You
shot.
you'd make the obvious adjustment.
Totally.
Right? But I'm saying, like, that's the part that's interesting to me.
Me too. Well, it's
So-
human. It's solving a human problem versus a machine problem.
But in golf instruction, we're still at the point where people don't agree with your basic premise that the way to curve it around the tree is to do it that way. There's people that don't think that.
Well, there's people that don't understand ball flight.
Yeah,
Well, I think the world is flat.
but that's where we are.
I know. Did you hear about that guy? Did you hear about that guy that went up to see it? Yeah, one guy went up to see if it was flat, and his parachute launched down here and pew.
But all you have to do is go on Facebook and
Actually, I hope
hear.
they are.
But go on
Two more
Facebook.
listeners.
Yeah, go on Facebook and hear a golfing machine person who is fundamentally believes things that just in reality don't happen.
But what's interesting, if you're going to bring that up, because I was a fan of Ben Doyle at the time,
Sure.
as was many, and again, at the time, that was probably the best
Sure.
piece of evidence.
And that's all you can do, right? Is
Right,
the
so
best
that's
you
what we're
can
talking
with
about.
information that's
Science
available.
continues to
Evolve.
It changes, the explanation changes over time, not because the science changed, but our way of understanding it changes.
Well, maybe the science changed. Maybe the
Well,
way we measure things changed.
But gravity's
awareness,
always
yeah.
gravity. We're just, we weren't aware of it until we were aware of it. So,
Right.
So it's not like the things are changing. We're just understanding it better as time moves on. So the
Sure.
explanation improves.
But I mean, in 1865, when someone got hurt in the Civil War, the best way to deal with an injury was to hack their foot off without
Thought we used
anesthetic.
leeches.
That was the only option.
That's all we had.
We have better options now.
Right.
But I
We have
also
more
think
information.
that there's a huge difference. I'm going to speak up for a second. In between what's actually happening and what somebody's trying to
Feeling,
do in a good play.
100%. I think that's what
Okay?
you're getting at.
Like, so,
Feels
look,
versus
I'm a
real.
good player. I'm going to use a tour player. I know that the club really isn't being driven through. There's not handle drag. Okay? But I also don't know that on a tour player that they're trying to unload it. A lot of them. One we watched today wasn't. Right? So,
They think they are, but if you measured them, they might be
what? Measure them, they might be what?
trying. If you put, for example, if you put Lucas Glover on Jacobs 3D,
Right.
the evidence might show that they're forcing the club in a certain way, and you might ask them what they perceive that they're doing, and those could be different things.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Right? And so I think,
There could be players that feel like they're holding it off, but they might not actually be holding it
and
off.
I don't disagree that the club's trying to go that way, right? But I had a guy with 330 today. You saw him.
I saw him.
If I'd have told him that that's what the club would have done, he would have hit his left ear with the fucking ball because he was already, that some bitch was already coming out, right? So, like, telling him to hit pitch shots trying to lag it and hold it helped him hit it solid, right?
Sure.
And I think that's the art of teaching, though,
Of
is
course.
knowing which guy needs what.
Sure.
And I think that's where people like, and so we're going back to like a previous podcast, which might have been like a couple hours ago, but like some of the social media stuff and the content out there is like, it's like one size doesn't fit all, right? Like not one piece of information works for everybody.
Never.
Right. And so somebody getting up there and saying, this is what every club's doing, or this is what everybody's doing, like it doesn't help everybody.
Or can you believe that teacher said that to that player?
Which is fine if it worked.
Right. Exactly. Like, oh, I mean, if I had 3 minutes with going back to that guy again, if I had 3 minutes with that guy, I mean, hell, that guy's in fourth right now. Thank God he didn't go have coffee with that guy. I mean, right? But like, but that's what there's just no absolutes. I know
No,
I'm
there isn't.
rambling
And that's
on.
what.
Well, I
was
mean,
told.
I think it's cool
Yes.
that we can measure what's actually happening.
we can,
But I also think,
but that's just the starting point,
Right.
Because we can measure what actually happens, and it allows us to eliminate the folklore, but that doesn't solve the coaching issue, which is how do you knowing what you know. I mean, if you're an expert like you guys are, like Scott is, I mean, knowing what you know doesn't mean that you have a free pass at exporting that information out of your mind and putting it into somebody else's mind. That's the art of what we're all talking about here.
How many times have you told somebody something that you knew wasn't scientifically accurate, but you knew would help them hit a shot better?
Probably every day.
But I don't know what you mean by scientifically
Well,
accurate.
you know what I'm saying, like the
You dumb it
on a
you
graph and all that stuff where they have the shit.
Or it might
going
even be
like
wrong.
this.
I want you to get to the top and throw the head as hard as you can throw it.
Sure.
Whatever. I mean, that might not be what actually happens or what you want, but it's the antithesis of what they're doing.
Sure.
It's an
100%.
exaggeration.
And it's a good coaching to do that.
Yeah, I mean, people. You might have. You might even argue with like TrackMan to a certain degree and launch monitors. I mean, it's the best measuring device that we have
Right now,
Right now. But this is my problem with all new stuff like this is if you drink from the fire hose when it comes to new technology, you're probably going to look foolish in the future because the next new technology may prove the last one wrong.
I don't know if it proves it wrong. I think it's over exaggeration. Like, because when I first started working for Swing Catalyst, body check was the thing. And body check would come out and say every tour player has X or Y or Z or whatever.
They told everybody, and I'd probably get in trouble here, but that's fine. But
Your mom friend.
But like they had like one trace, and that was what everybody's trace was supposed to look at. Because I got one, and I remember like I didn't understand it. Like I don't understand most things, but like I sent it out, and I was like, but everybody's trace had to be like the fish hook, basically, right? But now we know. Not everybody's trace is like that, right?
And that's what
Lucas Glover's today.
Not even close.
Stripe didn't look anything like that.
When I first started working for Swing Catalyst, that's what they like. I would go to teach these courses where a bunch of you guys would be in the crowd, and you'd be like, "What should the center of pressure trace look like? What should the vertical force look like? What should the torque look like?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like I watched all these good players. I had Justin Rose. I had, I had tons of different players. We have a lot more now. What's that?
Charlie Wee.
JB Holmes, Charlie Wee, and everyone was doing something different. And I was
Michelle
like,
Winkler, for those of you follow her on Instagram,
I didn't know what.
still hadn't accepted
And I-
follow it.
I kept saying, I don't know. And like, I remember one of the first times I was hanging out with Sean Foley, I walked 18 holes with him at, what's it called? The place where Tiger used to play his tournament, Sherwood Country Club. Mm-hmm. And we watched, I think it was Hunter Mahan play 18 holes, which is what, for a tour player, 5 hours? Mm-hmm. At the end of the 5 hours, he looked at me, he's like, in this 5 hours, I probably asked you about 235 questions. I was like, give or take, I'm going to go with that. He's like, probably 200 of those, he said, I don't know. And I was like, because I don't. And I don't think it's because I don't know, it's because I don't think anyone knows. Because I think a lot of coaches want absolutes, and they don't exist. There's so many smart minds that have worked on this game so far, and if there were absolutes, every good player does
Everybody knows.
blank. We'd have figured that shit out by now.
But the fun part is that we're gaining on it.
But to me, the key thing to me is if
But
you
can
take.
we ever have an absolute? I don't think
I don't
there's
think
an
you
ever
can.
have an absolute.
If you have like a scatter plot of every human
I don't think you can't have absolutes, but you can have better
guesses,
you can have better lanes.
lanes, which is
Lanes.
what you're saying for lanes is something called cluster analysis in science.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a big scatter plot of everybody on the planet, it's just going to be everywhere. If you put a little circle around people and said, these people, what's different about them than these people?
Mm-hmm.
And you put a little circle around them and you say, okay, these people are way different than these people down here. So what is different about them? And there's got to be something we can measure about a human being that's different. And that's what, I mean, I think to me.
Patterns.
In pattern.
Yeah,
well,
patterns.
in like, why is this person striping it doing this and this person striping it doing the opposite?
Of all the people at this table, I would bet every dollar in my 401k that
Oh, I like it.
I know this is true, Scott. I've watched you, and I know. I mean, the people I know that use tech,
Yeah.
the value of tech it's interesting because you hear about this old school versus new school. Oh, that guy's just staring at a screen, whatever.
I think that's less.
This
I think
woman's
that's less than people think.
she's just staring at a screen. But I would wager that what tech, in its broadest sense, does is it lets you put players in categories
in groups,
and I would wager that you've watched enough players that you don't need the tech anymore. And I would bet every dollar in my 401k that you've watched enough people hit balls that you don't need a TrackMan. You don't need gears. Because now that you've seen people do stuff, you can say, all right, I recognize that pattern.
I'll give you TrackMan and gears, but I won't give you ground forces. People fuck with me all the time on ground forces.
We don't have to edit that. No, I use the F word on.
I can't
say whatever you want because it's your.
I'll just use the example of my friend Mike Jacobs, right? So Mike has invented his own software with the help of a scientist at Lafayette College, and so he's developed this reputation as a guy that is way into super tech, screens, measuring, cameras, whatever, data. But if you went and took a lesson from him, he doesn't use any of that stuff. It's a completely caveman lesson out on the range with no stuff. Because what he would tell you is that I've watched thousands of swings on the tech. And now when I watch you, I can put you in a rough category.
Well, with kinematics,
because of what the tech has done, it's informed me now so that I can roughly categorize you. And if I need to go back, I can use the tech.
But what's he using to categorize people?
Oh, sure.
His eyes. And what are your eyes? The kinematic measurement.
Right, but it's your eyes.
We're back to blinking.
Plus the data that your tech has provided to you.
But it's still a kinematic measurement tool. I've watched thousands of swings on Swing Catalyst, and I've looked at the forces, and sometimes I'm like, I have no clue.
Well, you say sometimes, but
I'm gonna say a lot of the time. Well, okay, maybe not a lot of the time, but there are times when you're like,
prove my point. But
no, but like I would never guess. I wouldn't.
Because you don't
somebody
have, because
made
me.
If somebody hit a shot and said, "How much vertical force is that guy have?" I'd be like, sometimes you can guess. If they're jumping off the ground, you're like, okay, he's probably got a lot, but I don't know.
I think path and face are pretty.
Well, that's a kinematic tool, like because you're watching a movement of the club, so I think you can see that. If it's a movement-related thing, you can see it. If it's a force-related thing, I don't think you can see it. You can't see forces with your eye.
I don't think you can see forces with your eye, but I think good coaches in general can see patterns.
What do you think, Brady? You've been a little quiet over there, and you're drinking iced tea, which makes me nervous.
I just don't know this one.
I think it's an interesting discussion. How's that for an answer?
Just stay out of it.
No, I just think my thing is, I think knowing the best possible explanations is really helpful.
Yeah.
But I think when you're working with somebody, you still need to be able to teach.
Oh, you do 100%.
And so you could have gears on or whatever you want to have on. It doesn't. That's not the real world of teaching. I think the information's great, and we are all
It's part of it, but it's not the only part of it.
We're trying to get better at understanding what is actually happening, but it doesn't really matter to the person who's standing in front of you. They just want you to help.
I think the further
it's operating system.
I think
it's the behind the scenes stuff.
The further we go down the road of science in golf teaching, it seems like both sides realize that you need to have both sides.
You do
to
100%.
Be successful
You do.
at teaching. Whereas I feel like personally that a few years ago or whatever, you had people that just said, look, if you, like, I'm going to use TrackMan as an example. We've obviously got one and all that. We'd be like, if you had TrackMan, that's all you need, right? But like, or if you had this, that's all you need.
No.
But then there were the old school people that were like, oh, I don't need that shit. I could do that. But now I think as we go along, I think both sides are coming to say, like, you know what? Like, we can have all this information, but having a way to communicate it and the expertise and the understanding of how to play is important.
Well, it
I
has
think
to
it's
be
more
a
a meld of
combination.
both.
Yeah.
I think
But I also believe strongly too that, and
it's like the both sides of the aisle coming together, shaking.
right,
hands, Matt.
but I think a super valuable thing about tech is that when you're coaching someone and you're changing things, the tech provides a very valuable reinforcement that things are changing.
Right.
That stuff is happening, and leave aside the numbers, because the numbers don't in and of themselves don't matter, but the change in the numbers matter. The delta.
But you have to say, like, let's use TrackMan.
Right.
Do we really honestly think it's going to measure the difference between a 4.2 right path and a 3.6? I mean, I'm saying though, like, I'm not saying that the forces you're talking about are in this conversation, but I've seen, and I know Tony has too, on a tour range, watching a tour player hit a brand new ball, and it curves in a direction that TrackMan said it didn't.
Sure.
And so
There's
that
no doubt.
makes me concerned about the actual measuring tool that we're putting all the stock into.
Sure. I think that's 100% valid.
I would rather trust my experience and the fact that I've seen a million balls fly off a club to know what the ball flight is than to say, well, the TrackMan said that.
Like,
so
for my
that's
money,
it.
For my money, we got both. I've spent too much money. I like the quad because it shows where it's hit on the face, so that when the face and the path don't match what the ball did, you can see where it hit on the face, and you I'm smart enough, sort of, to know, like, you match that up. I agree with that. I've watched too many times.
But can't you see a ball basically hit a toe or a heel after all these years? I mean, do we need the quad really?
No, but
I'm just saying,
I just like to spend money.
I'm saying that there's so much we're processing as teachers as it is, and we can pick all of that up. And I still trust myself more on ball flight than I would TrackMan.
True. But I mean, I keep bringing up my friend Randy Smith because he's great.
He's the best.
But one point he made that
We got to get Randy on this.
One point that he made that makes a lot of sense to me is that he said, leaving aside everything we've just talked about, the reality, for example, if you're teaching junior golfers now, is that where they live is on screens, and their life is iPhones and iPads and data and da-da-da. If you're a coach and you're a caveman or a cavewoman and says, well, I don't believe in any of that stuff, I'm not going to tell you about any data, you miss a connection point with those people.
1,000%.
And I think he's right. So he says, well, even if TrackMan is not a fundamental part of how I teach, it's a dash of salt or a dash of pepper in how I teach, because I know that the 15-year-old who comes to me lives on screens, and I need to relate to his or her world. And I think that's a huge point. And
It could be.
it's a huge point today, and 5 years, knowing, I mean, I've got 3 girls who are 11, 8, and 6, and I know how they operate with screens. And going forward, you have to be conversant in that world, because that's where they live. And I think that's a fundamental truth.
I would say that it may be a huge point to them, but it isn't a huge part about playing golf well.
Oh, I agree.
So
Everything is about applying the appropriate context is the coach's job. I agree. But being cognizant, you cannot be the person who says, and we all know those people in this business who say, well, all that new school stuff is bullshit. Well, okay, you want to live that way? Be the person with no ATM card. Be the person with no smartphone. All right, great. Be the person with the flip phone. Okay, you want to live that way? That isn't how people live.
No, I agree.
So, I think the genius of all this, the people who are the best at all this, are the people who understand how to provide context to the data. But the reality is that's how people live, and if you don't visit them where they live, they're going to find somewhere else to go.
And to me, what's the key? I mean, I've got over shots where you get over it and you just know that shot's going you're gonna hit it good, and you get over shots, and so what? It's confidence, right? You can give your player more confidence getting over the ball that they're in. And I've talked to a lot of tour coaches that say, when I show them this data, it's not my opinion anymore.
Right.
They have more confidence in me.
It. Yep.
And then they have more confidence when they get over that next shot.
So I use a lot of it. I kind of back ass words way into it, right? So like I do a lot. I may, with a tour player, get the things I want them doing and the ball going good, and then put them on the swing catalyst and the track band or the quad or whatever, and then say, see, so what we did is making the path through this, and it's making this, and see how when we fix your posture, your trace cleaned up?
Here's the delta.
Right?
Sure.
Right? So I mean,
you did that today. You drew that line through the like foot through the shoulder, and you're like, look at this, how this is better. And then Lucas looks at it and he's like, "Yeah, I trust you now. Not my feel is being validated what I see on that
I
screen."
think one thing that people don't understand that aren't around tour players is that, I mean, they're not all smart. That wasn't my point. But
Disclaimer, Tony Ruggiero.
But even if they're not smart, they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And they know what hits a good shot for them.
Yeah.
Like, I think the people, people don't, we're talking about all this stuff out there, but all they give a shit about is what hits a good shot for them, because that's how they make a living.
Yeah.
And so they're really good at knowing what hits a good shot for them. And so if you tell a tour player something and you show them something and it doesn't compute or make sense with what they know hits a good shot for them, one, they don't think you know what you're doing, and two, they don't give a shit what you say.
What they
Right?
want to do.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
So it better make sense. And goes to what we talked about earlier. Like I try to, in all lessons, but more so with a tour player, measure what I say, and I try not to say something unless it's A, gonna make them laugh, or B, it matters. You know, because if you say something just to say something, I think it muddles the water and all that. I mean, not that that's worth anything, but I think. But I think that people don't realize how much, all that really matters to the player in front of you is how they hit it.
Totally.
And I think even 15 handicappers or 10 handicappers have a little, not as defined, but have a little bit of an idea of what the hell they do when they hit it good. And I think our job is to help them do that better.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
You know,
But I think the tech helps you reinforce it. It's not my opinion. Like, look, and if that puts more confidence in that player's head, they're more likely to hit it better when they get up on the first tee.
I mean, I'm shocked to say, but I'm a tech fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I own a bunch of it. Bring Scott in, mainly for entertainment. Look, he took a load off me. I didn't do much today. I just hung out. But I think it's a huge part of it. But I think it's more the marrying of the two.
Yeah. And I think, with that girl today, would we have gone to the band without tech? Probably not. Right? We looked at the tech, we're like, try this.
Well, I probably would have, because I just never liked the way her hips slide. I've watched her because I'm friends of the family. I've watched it for years, and I never understood why nobody
until today.
Well, no, because I didn't teach her. She's taught by somebody else who's probably listened to this and wondering why the hell she's at this camp. But I'm like, shit. So I'm like, I mean, hell, if you can't get her lower body stable under, I mean, shit, we got to do something.
But that's cool, because that's you've thought that forever as a good teacher.
Been watching this for years.
Right. But you've thought that forever as a good teacher, and then you bring science in and you're like, yeah, that validates.
100%.
And then now you have more confidence going to her and say, hey, do this. And then she has more confidence than you because you have more confidence than her.
And here was the cool part.
Snowballs and
he listened to what she said I told him, her.
Yeah.
And then he fixed the forward swing part of it based on it.
Right.
Just using video because you're in the other band.
That's what I think you're saying is you can't, it's the marriage of the two, right? It's the scientist
1,000%.
and the guy who's been on the tee 100 hours or a million hours, and you can't replace that. You can't.
You can't, but
100%.
you can probably fast forward the process by no.
100%.
But I'm going to kind of wind this thing down because we've got to get to bed at some point. Matt, closing arguments, closing comments. I feel like you're a little bit of the wordsmith here. I feel like you're kind of like my John Lennon here tonight.
I feel slighted.
I think
Closing arguments.
no. I think whether you're talking about the current cutting edge science or the science that was available to people in 1970, the information is the starting point. It's not the ending point. And the genius of all this is taking the information that's available and applying it and giving it to people in a way they can use it. And
The best teachers always find the best information.
Too many times, people feel like the information by itself is the ending point. Like, I know it, I'm right and I have it and that's enough. It's not enough.
That's good.
It's
good.
It's giving it to people in a way they can use it. And I'm thrilled that the quality of the information that we have is so much better now, because we can avoid giving people bad information. Mm-hmm. And now that doesn't take away the responsibility of communicating it in a way they can use it.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case. But I think we're closer than ever to having convergence between, hey, this is what really happens, and hey, let me give you some advice about what really happens and how you can.
I think it'll always be hard because while we know maybe what happened, we have no idea what their the feel to make that happen is.
But then you have a better feedback.
Put them in the
You take
best
a
situation
hypothesis.
At least we're not telling them the active opposite of what is really happening.
True. I'm saying though, you could have two exact. Let's take for granted that TrackMan's going to give you the right measurement, which I don't necessarily agree with. But let's say that you did, and you could have two different players give you the exact same numbers on a shot, and they could be feeling completely different things.
100%.
Right? And I'm sure you could do that with Swing Cat. And everything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's
so
where
while you may know what happened, we're never going to get past. We're always going to have to deal with the player and what they're feeling to make that a reality. That's always going to be the most important
it's the genius
part.
of coaching.
Even though we may know exactly what did happen, it doesn't mean it's what they felt.
And I think a lot of, my buddy Will Wu, who's the motor learning expert, says the people who use the tech best don't use it that often. You use it to measure 2 or 3 swings, get an idea, and then you.
But at least you're not telling people keep your head down, force your head down.
It gets you on the right path, and then you go out and you do what you need to do, and then like we did it today. We went on the grass, you come back, you measure, you go back out. Like, to me, like, you can't get somebody dependent on technology. Because there's kids now that hit it and they just look at the launch monitor. They don't even look where the ball goes. Like, you can't have that.
Gang, this was awesome. Thanks for everybody sitting in. It's been an awesome retreat. Great group of folks. Can't thank Brady, Scott, and Matt Winkler over here enough.
You must be tired from talking a lot.
Is your jaw sore?
You guys just dominated the conversation right there.
Give her a follow on Instagram. She might accept it.
I won't.
But anyways, great stuff as always. Look forward to. I think we'll find something else to talk about this week. This is awesome meeting of the minds. Brady, thanks for coming from California. Matt, coming down from New York. New Jersey, Connecticut. I think
Connecticut.
Yeah, but
North of New York.
It's all the same.
It's prettier.
Scott, California. Winkler, where are you now?
Connecticut.
It's
Oh my
somewhere in between Connecticut and California.
All right, it's a wrap. Another edition.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Tour Coach with Tony Ruggiero. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening to this podcast. You can stay up to date because we have weekly episodes coming your way with fascinating people in the world of golf instruction at the highest level. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. If you want to learn more about Tony, head over to dewsweepersgolf.com. TonyRuggiero.com to get all the details on what he's up to. Maybe you want to see him, grab a lesson, or go to one of his camps, pick up his book, Lessons from the Legends. You can do that there. If you want to see Tony in action with some videos and other content, head over to golfsciencelab.com/Tony to get more info there. This episode was powered by the Golf Science Lab and was edited, mixed, and produced by Just Hit Publish Productions.
There's one thing, if you know about me, if you've listened to the Dew Sweepers, you've come to see me, listen to me talk, is you know I'm big on loyalty. We give 100% here at the Dew Sweepers. We put a lot of emotional investment into everything we do with every one of our players. And the same can be said for our partners and the folks that have been with us for the long haul and help the Dew Sweepers, help our juniors, help us get to our tour players. And so I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors. Our sponsors are first and foremost Buick and our local Buick dealers here around the Southeast, Shrixon Cleveland Golf, who've been with me for over a dozen years, and their belief and support of what we do here with the Dew Sweepers. And lastly, the folks at Vineyard Vines. The folks at Vineyard Vines love what we do with junior golf. They support us on the road. There isn't a better family or group of people that are going to help us look our best, play our best, and have more fun than the folks at Vineyard Vines. So special thanks to our sponsors. Please support those as you get the opportunity. And for more information about any of those, check us out at dewsweepersgolf.com, or you can always check me out on Instagram at @thedewsweeper.